We're going to find out what numbers are prime, and we're going to take a guess at whether or not they go on forever and if there's an infinite number of them. So we're going to start with the number 2. By the way, the number 1 is not prime, but it is also not the opposite of prime, so it's not called a composite number either. It's neither one. So we're going to write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to write those. Now, on the next row, I'm going to keep counting. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then I'll keep counting. 14, 15, 16, 16. Wow. I don't know if you just saw that, but I lost the ability to count briefly. 17, 18, 19. Now you might say, why did you stop at 7? Why are there only 6 numbers in each row? For reasons that I might explain later, but it's just going to help us identify the pattern. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I'm going to go crazy on this, and I'm going to stop at 50. I was going to say 100, but let's stop at 50. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, let's finish this row. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. That'll be a sufficient place to stop. Okay, so how are we going to use this to find prime numbers? I almost called this lesson the prime number sieve. Sieve? What's a sieve? It's a way to filter things out, and it's spelled like this. It's S-I-E-V-E. A sieve filters things out. But I'm just going to call it prime numbers. And I've clearly listed a lot of numbers that are not prime numbers. Okay, so let's go back to the previous thing we did. And prime numbers were like 2 and 3 and 5 and 7 and 11 and 13 because those are the only ways we can write it with multiplication 1 times itself, right? So as I look at these numbers that I wrote here that are prime, like 2, 3, 5, but then I wrote them all. This is my way of filtering out what's prime and what's not. So we know the number 2 is prime. So I'm going to highlight it. Let's highlight it. 2 is prime. You can circle it if you want to. But now what I'm going to do is say, well, you know, if 2 is prime, then 2, everything that 2 goes into is not prime. In other words, 2 times 2 is 4, not prime. 2 times 3 is 6, not prime. 2 times 4 is 8, not prime. If you need a little push in the right direction, I'm going to mark out, don't confuse what I highlighted here now. I'm going to mark out 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 24, 10, 12. I'm marking out every second number. Skip it, mark it out. Skip it, mark it out. Skip it, mark it out. 1, 2. 1, 2, mark it out. 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 Mark it out. Do you see which numbers I'm marking out? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, mark it out. 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 1. All right. So here's what we know so far. The number 2 is prime. And everything I marked out is not. So now we go to the next number that's not been marked out, and we'll highlight it, and we'll call him prime. We know he's prime, right? We already did this. So now I'm going to count by 3s, and I'm going to mark out every third number, but I'm still going to count, like I'm going to hit the 4 and the 5 and the 6. Okay, so from 3 I go 1, 2, 3, mark it out. I've already marked it out, but I'll mark it out again. 1, 2, 3, mark it out. 1, 2, 3, mark it out. Even if you already marked it out. 1, 2, 3, mark 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 it. There's a rhythm to this. 1, 2, 3. I hope you realize what we're marking out. We're marking out this entire column and this entire column. 1, 2, 3, mark it out. 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 Okay? We just eliminated this column, this one, and this one. The only prime numbers we're going to have are going to appear in these two columns. Now, we're going to mark out some of these as well, but we've really narrowed things down quite a bit. So now we're going to count by fives. Things get a little trickier from here on out, but that's okay. So 5 is our next prime number, and we're going to count by fives. So from 5, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mark it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mark it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mark it out. Now, if you want to, you could just count by fives. You know what to do, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Okay, you could do that. Pretty easy to count by fives. All right, let's keep going. 7 is also prime. The next number that's not marked out is also prime. So now we're going to count by sevens. So from 7 we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, mark it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, mark it out. And if you get lost, you have your multiples of 7 right here. Now, don't confuse what I highlighted here with the same color here. It's a totally different concept. But 21 was the last thing I marked out. Plus 7 is 28. Plus 7 is 35. Plus 7 is 42. All right, from 42, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 49 gets marked out. Okay. The next one that's a prime number we know is 11. If I was to count by 11s, I'd have 11, 22, 33, 44, and 55. They're already marked out already. You don't have to keep marking them out, but I am just to kind of keep up with where I am. Okay, let's keep going. 13 is also prime. If we were to count by 13s, we'd have 13. This is more difficult and it's not on your multiplication chart. 13, 26, 39, and then 52. Okay. 17 is prime. If we were to count by 17s, we'd mark out 17 and 34 and 51. There's going to come a point very soon where we're going to realize that everything that's left is a prime number. So I just basically told you everything that's left is a prime number. 19, counting by 19s, it's 19, and then 38. And then whatever 3 times 19 is, but it's not on here. 57. 23. If we counted by 23s, the next one would be 46. Already marked it out. Okay, 29 is the next one that's not been marked out. The next number that I would mark out after 29 would be 58. We don't need to do that. 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, and 53 are all prime numbers. So we have just found all the prime numbers from 2 to 53. We still haven't answered the question of whether or not they go on forever. Like if I could do this all the way to infinity, which I can't, would I ever reach the end of prime numbers? Good question. I wonder.